Welcome everyone for this Pinja's EUDR webinar. Today we are speaking on update on EUDR. So we won't cover basics of EUDR. Those ones you can check on our earlier webinars. So today we are speaking what has been happening with EUDR. Last week we got a lot of new material out from EU. After that one, we will have short jump into EUDR information system and how to register in there. Then we will discuss how Pinja can help with EUDR. And at the end, we will have question and answer session. So feel free to drop out questions for us. My name is Toni Hämeenniemi. I'm product manager in our Timber by Pinja product family. And with me is Juha.
Hello everyone and welcome. I am Juha Valkola, leading our wood industry business in Pinja. Okay, let's jump to actual updates, and of course updates of schedules is the first point where we are going. And the latest news on the EUDR side, so country benchmarking for risk assessments is still ongoing, and the latest information that classification updates will be done end of June during this year. Also, EU is updated frequently asked questionnaires. Now it's version number 4, which is released during April. Also, on the Traces system, which is nowadays EUDR information system, is offering training sessions, and these can be found on the EU sites. Also, there is written guidance, which can be downloaded by yourself. And also, we need to remember that on the acceptance server site, statements done for testing, and those testing statements are not legally binding at any one of us. On the current schedule is so that 2024, the regulation itself came effective, and also 2004 end application of regulation begins. Today we hear also more detailed updates about these schedules. Risk level updates are proceeding as planned earlier, so should be done during this year, and the phasing in is already started. Application begins for micro and small enterprises on 2026 in June. On the another side, updates about schedules. So timber and timber products, which are produced between June and December 2023 and 2025. And there is finally some kind of clarification how we should handle these materials when we are between on those schedules. So in the latest updates, when the material is placed on the market before December this year, those products will be complying EUDR, so that existing timber regulation. If products are not covered by annexes of EUDR, these products will be expensed on the EUDR. And when and what happens after that time? So end of this year, all products will be complying on the EUDR side. And as we know, this information published on last week, so definitely we are waiting some more clarifications also. But how we understand it, it's so that timber and timber products which are produced after December 2025, they must comply with rules of EUDR and materials before that complying EUDR, so that current timber regulation. Would you like to add something
Yeah,
to that?
this is something new. So this was released last week. It has been updated based on timber products. And basically question is, how do you read this? This text is directly from the annex and what is said on timber products. Basically what they are saying now is that products and the derivatives products. So anything that is made out of those. If it's done, place it on market before 30th of December, it's out of EUDR. And only material that is getting harvested starting from 30th of December is part of EUDR. But this needs more clarification and what is the actual take by Finnish authority of this new schedule. But this is quite big change compared to earlier thing, what has been earlier said. Very interesting things. But that doesn't actually affect how we should look at EUDR. Trace systems are up, so EUDR information system. Production chains are very long. So even on wood processing side, you need to have DD numbers. Everyone should be ready from system point of view for EUDR. So let's start using it. Let's start from harvesting. Let's start making those DD numbers. Let's start getting them into chain. This way we can make sure that end of year everyone is ready and there is no crazy rush that hey, where we are, what needs to be done. So we strongly say now that everyone should start working with EUDR. Even though the earlier schedule and update on that one might give some extra time to get everything online. Then we will have some updates on actual interpretations from last week's presentation. Juha, please.
Thank you, Toni. Hopefully my sound is now a little better. Okay, so the updates itself, or how to say, are those clarification or updates, but on the large companies can now reuse existing due diligence statements when goods previously put in the market. Also, and authorized representatives can now submit due diligence statements on behalf of another members in company groups. And as we know earlier, there was mentioned that this is very personal thing and you need to be presenting as a person, and now it's said that it's also possible to be authorized. Clarification of ascertaining due diligences has been now carried out. Larger companies in the downstream benefiting from simpler obligations. As need to say, minimal legal obligation of collecting reference numbers is still in place. Companies will be allowed to submit due diligence statements annually instead of every shipment or batch. Of course, this is something also which needs more detailed clarification, as we know that beginning of the trace you need that geolocation information, and how that can be done annually, it's not clarified yet. But on the end point of that trace, you will be definitely get benefit about that annual statement.
Yes, Juha. So that's quite important change. So now it's clearly said that maximum time of due diligence statements is annually, as is the actual checks around that one. There's also a lot of more clarifications coming out of EU with the latest package. There has been a lot of discussions ongoing what happens with species on wood industry, scientific names. It has been now said that you need to have scientific names, species, actually only on first DD statement. So when you are providing geolocations, you are only also providing scientific names. But on latest facts, 7.28, EU is now stating that you don't need to have species delivered when you use earlier DDs as references. This makes things again a lot easier, but let's see how it actually behaves in EUDR information system. As early on it has been must have information. So we might get rid of species on the trace as traceability. Next one. There has been a lot of discussion about doing combined DD statements, so monthly level. Now someone have said even annual level, but let's say stick with monthly level combined DD statements. It has now been clarified by EU that if you do not know how much you are going to do export and how much you are going to sell to domestic, you don't need to know it anymore. You don't need to do two different DD statements with guess numbers. You are now able to just deliver one single export DD statement that will cover everything that you are going to deliver during that period of time. You just need to have documentation about how much you have actually exported material out. So this is one roadblock that has now been removed from making combined DD statement. Excellent news. Next one. There's a lot of discussions again ongoing what is small and medium-sized enterprise obligations and what they need to do or what they can do. So let's start clarifying small and medium-sized enterprise obligations. First of all, small and medium-sized enterprise needs to include and share all the information necessary to demonstrate compliance of product. So basically collecting DD numbers, DD reference numbers, and be able to supply them further down on the supply chain. You do not have to exercise due diligence, so you don't need to check if everything is okay. You just need to collect numbers and forward them. That's based on how EUDR articles are now written and how EU has now clarified these things. So this is again directly from EU's last week's document. Also, competent authority may want to ask reference numbers from you, and on that case, you need to be able to provide all the DD numbers for the authority. But of course, if product has not been put in the market yet, and small or medium-sized enterprises setting some new material in the markets, that's the point when you have to do due diligence and you have to do new DD statements. So if you are setting up totally new material into EU markets, you have to do statements. Okay, some more clarification from the latest facts, 3.10.1 from last week's facts. Can big non-SME company demand that you will make small company makes DD statements, for example, for combined DD number? So at least in food industry, there's a lot of DD numbers going around, and when you are delivering material, it might have 5, 10, even 100 different DD numbers. Based on EU, the downstream big company cannot demand small or medium-sized enterprise to make DD statements. But there's the questions. Big company can also say that, okay, we don't buy from you. What do you do? That basically means that you have to make DD statement to combine the numbers. Who wants to take and purchase one load of material with 10 different DD numbers? No one. No one wants to buy material with 10 different DD numbers. It's important to understand that if small or medium-sized enterprise makes DD statements, it has to do due diligence for that material. So if small or medium-sized enterprise does DD statement, combined DD statements, small and medium-sized enterprise at that point take responsibility of that material and need to do all the EUDR stuff around that load. Then, of course, when we are speaking about DD forwarding, what small and medium-sized enterprises can do, if you forward DD number, the receiver of that number will know company who has made it. So basically, when you do forwarding, you are also telling what are your suppliers of your material. That's something you need to think about. Most likely, DD numbers won't give any information of geolocation because everyone will hide it on settings. Most likely, everyone will hide geolocations on their DD statements. So basically, when you are doing the DD statement, you can decide is geolocation hidden or visible. Again, question is, if you have shipment and based on your raw material intake, you have multiple DD numbers. Who will accept those multiple, even half dozen DD numbers on single delivery? That's a lot of manual work for the system who is receiving those material. Then there's question on EUDR and import. So first of all, the importer needs to register into EUDR information system using the EORI number. So you need to have EORI number to register into EUDR information system as importer. Second question is that when you are doing importing, are you re-importing something that has already been in EU market? If raw material has already been on EU market, you can use earlier DD references on import. Small and medium-sized enterprises can use those DD numbers directly. Big companies need to make new DD statements, but they can just reference to earlier DD numbers. Now, the question is, well, the fact is how everything is spelled at the moment is that importer, when making totally new DD statement of importing, they need to deliver DD statement with geolocations. So let's say, for example, you are importing pellets into EU. You would need to have geolocation of sawn timber that you use it for your pellets on certain paths. You will need to have geolocations of cut forests that was used to make those sawn timber products. This doesn't really make sense at the moment. This is actually big question mark still. How should importers actually know the geolocations? What is the correct method to do it? Because it's impossible to get exact patch level geolocations. From our point of view, easiest would be if non-EU companies could also make DD statements and use those DD statements as DD references for importing. So now how things are stated is that the operator who is importing material needs to do DD statement with geolocations. But we are saying that maybe what if they would just receive DD references from the non-EU company that has been making those. So this is actually one of the main problems we see at the moment on EUDR and how it works. All the raw material is getting mixed up, and how can importer know exact geolocations? In most cases, they cannot. Okay, then very fastly, a little bit of EUDR information system registration. So system is up and running, and you can register yourself and your company in EUDR information system. For me, I have been using Traceas for +1 year, so it's very hard to get rid of that word, but all of us, we need to learn getting rid of that word. So EUDR information system. I'm also very sorry that some of these pictures we have now are partially in Finnish, and reason is that in EUDR information system, you cannot actually change the language. It will automatically go back default into your own language. So first thing you need to do, you need to register into EU system as person. It's your own personal login. You are logging in as person. So this is the way. Here is the address. Just get there, make a new account for you personally, and get in, start practicing using it. Second step is that have your company already make operator in the EUDR information system. So you can try, you can go into actors in here. You can try to find with name, is your company already in here? If not, you need to agree with your company who is making the new operator. But basically in acceptance environment, instantly when you click this new operator and you enter all the data, the new operator is made and you will become the admin. But this is something you need to agree with inside your company how you do it. But this is the way to get in. So first make personal account, then log in, try to find your company. If not found, check who can make it, who should make it. If you need to accept new users into your company, behind the actors selection is users, and there is check pending requests. You will see as admin who has requested access to your company, and you can accept them. But please remember to press save button. So even though it says that everything is okay, you still need to press save button or everything is resetted. So this function is also quite hidden at the moment, but that's the way how you can accept new users into your company. Last step, if you want to start using API, like most of the software should have APIs for EUDR information system, how to get one for your operator. You have to manually by email request API activation for your company. After you have received confirmation from this email that now your company has the API access, the APIs generally will use username of person and authentication key found under web service access. So username and API authentication are the ones that are used in Trace's system. But it's very important to remember acceptance is not production. Production is not acceptance. You should never ever enter acceptance environment DD information into your production environments. So don't mix up acceptance and production. Acceptance environment DD numbers are not valid and you cannot use them on actual deliveries. You should never ever deliver them to your customers. Okay, Juha.
Thank you, Tori. And as reminder, feel free to use chat to add any questions during our webinar, because end of webinar we will answer those questions which we can answer directly. And as Tony said, remember production environment is production environment, and production environment legally binding your companies, and acceptance test environment is for testing. But let's go further on our webinar and look around a little bit how about in Pinja we are supporting nowadays EUDR, including the updates. So, as a reminder, we are operating and helping companies starting from the forest, all those purchasing, trading, harvesting, and logistics, and of course, all raw material reception. And from the raw material receptions, we are moving on the production, and the production can be further processing or traditional sawmill or anything between that. Also, on some cases, we can help you quite a lot if you are building cabins or something like that, handling the full delivery process to end users and keeping track of that EUDR necessary information for you. And updates.
Yeah, so basically we have been working in Pinja for +1 year with EUDR, and based on earlier information we have built our processes, and these processes that we are now showing we have checked together with Finnish Food Authority and Swedish Skogsindustrier and Skogsstyrelsen. Basically they don't have anything to note about our processes, so we take them as yeah quite good on this one. One important thing that has arisen is that if you are going to use any kind of mass balance FIFO method, all raw material flow needs to be EUDR proven. So using any kind of mass balance FIFO method anywhere means that all raw material flow needs to be EUDR proven. And there is also a link on the material for the press release about these things. Then what our way of working is. So basically what we are using is this kind of thing called DD pool. So in DD pool, what we are doing is we are collecting all the index of different DD numbers, and we are allowing you to heavily mix your raw material flow. So DD pool is kind of pool where you collect all the DD numbers. You can then use those DD numbers from DD pool based on FIFO or making component statement from selected period of time. So DD pool is kind of the master way in our process on delivering DD numbers forward for different needs. And also with this kind of DD pool, we are giving clear visibility what is the current DD balance by different companies. So, Juha.
Yes, only addition for that DD pool is that of course on each company you need to make your own decision that which will be your own way to handle and which way is supporting most easiest your daily processes. Okay, let's move on. And first of all, we are looking at the so-called forestry flow, how we operating, how we handling that material and those DD numbers when we are doing harvesting. And as said, who will put the material on the market need to be done that DD notification, but it's also said that from the private persons, they are not mandatory to do it in person. They can also authorize the purchasing company do the DD notification. So when we are contracting some area where we are planning to do harvesting operation or purchasing material directly from the roadside, we should do that DD notification, including that geolocation information. Then when we are starting to transport that material on the external mills, on our own mills, or some terminal storages, we will following up those DD numbers inside the system. And on that, we will get on the storages, we get that DD pool where we know that, okay, these are of those thousands or hundreds DD number, but we delivered on those destinations. And then there is possibility that we can do that combined DD notification. And as earlier mentioned, it's company side decision. Are they are using FIFO method or some monthly DD collections, etc. And after that, when we are delivering against from the terminals or direct deliveries, we can deliver that reference information on quite many countries via digital formats like in Estonia and Finland. There is those EUDR, etc. And that data transfer will send that DD information based on the system configuration, those next steps. Then the next part is so-called terminal by Pinja side, and you can think about that as any raw material reception. It can be logs, it can be chips, some energy wood, etc. The most important thing that when you are binded the take EUDR account in your business, you need to collect that DD number information on your receiving. And when you are collecting that information, you get the storage, which contains enough DD number information. And then you can point out that you are working against with rules what EUDR says us. On the log storage side, we get the material on the storage and also resorting inventories are able to include that DD number information, and we can update that information that traces system with old name, nowadays that EUDR information system. And of course, if we are doing direct sales on the stock, we can forward that DD number information to next parties of chain. And then I would say that it's Tony, your time to discuss about what happening on the production side.
Yeah, thanks, Juha. And just a reminder, you can ask questions in chat. We will soon answer all the questions that have arrived. So please feel free to ask any questions and we will try to answer them soon. So if we move into production or factory side, and if we remind our early information that everything that you receive on your factory needs to be proven as EUDR material. So how our factory sites works is that we have raw material intakes, and all raw material intakes has DD numbers, of course. We have full reporting, which you can use to prove that all the material you have received has come as DD. So step one, all raw material, are they based on DDs? Am I allowed to use mass balance? First check mark, everything is okay. Then second step is that everything that you take in as raw material, we will add into our DD pool. Each incoming load counts as plus row, and whenever you do any actions on DD pool, we will have minus rows. On DD pool, you can use references directly on your deliveries, or you can use DD pool to make summary notices. And now we have clarification from EU that this summary notice will be on export type and it can be used on domestic and export deliveries. It's your decision to decide what is the period of summary notice. Someone is working on week level, someone is working on month level, and now we have heard that even annual level is accepted, but that's your call. And on all the deliveries, we will support that you make delivery specific DD notices. As it's automated, it's API. So it's very easy to get just one number for one delivery. Or you can just use references from DD pool and those will go to documents. And of course, we need to have sales EUDR reporting to prove how much you have sold as DDs. What authorities will check is your yearly levels. How much DD material you have received during this year, how much DD material you have delivered during this year. And if there is mismatch on those numbers, then they will start looking more detailed what is happening in there. Quite simple. Make sure all raw material that is part of EUDR is recorded and checked. Prove that all EUDR material or all raw material is EUDR based. And after that one, you can use mass balance methods to control what you are delivering out. Okay, now it's time for questions and answers. We have a couple questions already in here. First question I think is for you, Juha.
Okay.
So we are purchasing material from EU. We are purchasing wood from Finland and some other locations. We are making them in different countries in Finland, so in Estonia, in the EU. So we are making in Latvia, Estonia. Should we refer to geolocations for food and for veneer? So what actions do I need to do when I purchase material from a different EU country?
Thank you. It's very good and clear question. And when we are doing purchasing on Finland inside the EU, yes, we need to do DD notification on purchasing, including that DD numbers and geolocation. When we are further processing that material after harvesting and we are producing some material inside the Finland, I would say that that mass balance DD would be good in place, because after that material what you are delivering then on the another country, it's much easier to forward only one DD number without geolocation to simplify your own process. And if I see correctly, for that same question, there is continuation. So on that case, Tony, how you see it when we are delivering that material when it's really done? Should we create one DDS per year or for each delivery when the material is done and we collected that DD number information on the beginning of the process?
Thanks, Juha. And I would like to clarify a little bit. So the company who is placing material into EU market has to do geolocation-based DD statement. So the company who is making those material into EU market has to make DD statement with geolocation. Everyone after that one just uses DD references. So everyone after harvesting, the harvesting company needs to make DD statement. After that one, just DD numbers are given and referenced. And year or for each delivery, I think every modern system that is built around EUDR should be able to automatically make DD statement for each delivery. And if you have system that can make it, I would make it for every delivery just to make it more clear for you. But if you want to use company statements and you want to use just one number for your company, I would maybe go with monthly level. So monthly level is maybe best, or even 3 months DD statements. I would not use year level DD statements because there will be risks related to that one. Okay, then there's third questions. So outside EU question. So when we are buying timber and processing material outside EU, can we pass on the DD numbers as demonstrated in your flow? So that's actually the main question. Can company outside EU, when not doing import to EU, use DD system, trace system to make DD notices? There is no clear answer at the moment on EU documentation. Are you allowed to make DD statement for your non-EU production? Fact is that when material is imported into EU, somehow the geolocation needs to be there. And my personal opinion is that it's best if the companies outside EU could also do DD statements and use DD numbers as references. So best case would be that companies outside EU could also make DD statements and forward DD references. But at the moment, that's not clear from EU point of view. Is that accepted?
Yes, the addition onto that questionnaire is that, of course, inside our systems with those flows, all that information is available, but unclear is that can we use that EU information system to do statements it is.
Okay, then there's question about rubber traceability. So I think rubber is quite close to food products because you are I bet that you are getting a lot of references from different sources. You are combining them into one single product, so you have basically exactly same problems as food industry have. But I think we don't have any detailed information about rubber industry and what is the EUDR behavior with those ones.
Unfortunately, no, we don't have any active cases ongoing with that.
Okay, then there is fifth question. So how will Pinja deal with geolocation data or this outside EU data, and how can we pass it on? So basically, we have full traceability all the way to zone timber or processed wood. So we know that from what locations you got your material in the sawmill, what material have you mixed up and so on. So there is actually system to prove exact geolocations. But when we think about heavily processed products like pellets, that's huge amount of geolocations. I really do hope that the DD statements are allowed also outside EU. But if not, then we will have to find other way to pull it from harvesting.
Yes, and about that data which EUDR is requiring, we have done best our planification so that all necessary data to be compliant will be collected automatically as possible, so that there is no any extra work for users using the system, and all collected as on normal daily operations.
So Juha, I have question from you now. So what do you think? How do you see end of year? So do you believe that EUDR will happen this year?
As we've seen, first they postponed basically 1 year to give that time for phasing in. Last week they announced that more detailed information is basically required only on the next year. And I think that now those loose ends what we can utilize the postponed timetable is used. So my personal opinion is that this is now the timeline what we are working on.
Then Juha, we have question about car parts manufacturers. So basically what they need to do is they will need to collect all the DD numbers from paper suppliers. Question is that enough, or do they have to make new DD numbers, new DD statements for cardboard boxes?
On the cardboard boxes, there was some differentiation on the EUDR itself. I'm not 100% expert on the cardboard side. But basically, if we are looking those EUDR general thing, the collecting information, yes, it's required. But do you need to generate new onto those boxes is totally affecting which is that custom code what you are then delivering when you are exporting material and selling it further. That will tell us, do you need to do new one or you can utilize those old ones.
Yes, so if cardboard boxes with the customs number are part of EUDR, then you need to be able to deliver DD numbers whenever you are delivering to business customer. If cardboard is directly used as a packaging material, so you are not selling cardboard, but you are selling something else and it's just packaging material, then you don't need to do DD numbers. But if cardboard boxes customs numbers are part of EUDR, you have to deliver DD numbers to your business customers. Then we have Another question, Juha.
Mm-hmm.
So in each new DDS have reference statement part. So yes, whenever you are making DD statements, you can make it so that you have 1 to thousands references on one statement. So it should be related to products with materials is produced from. So there should be some kind of method to use certain amount of different raw materials and their DD numbers. So for example, wood, veneer, bark, and other side products.
Mm-hmm.
So how it could be related precisely? So
Yes.
before you answer, I will answer a little bit. So main thing is that you are receiving with your raw material a lot of DD numbers. And if you combine the raw material numbers and you can actually in combined statement change the product. So you combine all those materials, you make new DD statement with new end product DD number directly. So you don't need to be actually exact about what you use. Sorry, Juha, did I steal your answer?
No, I just want to continue your answer. So the key point is not that how you do that split precisely. What was those actual patches? Of course, it must be enough precise that you can prove on the case of audit that your process is enough good. But the key point is that you can point out that most likely the materials was these materials which we are utilizing on that next product. And the most important one, those most likely products are all okay in the EUDR eyes.
Thanks, Juha. We have a lot of excellent questions. And next one to the line, should DD numbers be visible on documents? Should we deliver to our customers? Or is it enough that we provide only on request level? Juha, what would you say?
What would I say? I will recommend that use electrical formats as much as possible, but end of all, it's totally agreement between you and your customer how you will exchange this information. I don't remember that there would be any so-called legal requirement that some documents needs to include reference numbers, but you are entitled to deliver that information.
But fact is that if your end customer, well, if your customer is business customer, that business customer needs to collect DD references. They need to have system to prove that all of their material is from DD sources. So they will most likely ask you to have DD number on your delivery documents. So most likely, if end customer is business customer and they need to have own DD and EUDR stuff, they will ask you to have DD number on the documents, and they will need those. So then there is question about finger jointed materials that is made into some other products. Basically, what is question is, can we use finger jointed material DD numbers, or do we need to make new statement for the new products? The fact is that if you are small or medium-sized enterprise, you can use references directly as they are, but know that your customer will know your supplier in that case. It doesn't matter that the product code changes. So small, medium-sized enterprises can deliver raw material DD numbers as they are, even though product changes. Question is, do you want to do that? But if you are a big company, you always have to do DD statement. Juha, do
Yes.
you have anything to add?
No, it's quite clear. SMA companies can utilize old ones, and if you are lager company, you just need to do it new.
Okay, we had a lot of excellent questions, Juha, but I think it's time to move on.
Yeah, let's appreciate the time what we promised. And short reminder, all of you, if you have anything about EUDR or anything else, you can meet us in Ligna at May on Hanover. So please feel free to welcome, say hi, or ask anything on our experts. And here will be our contact details if you want some more help about EUDR or another sites. On my side, I want to thank you everybody participating this webinar, and I truly hope that we can answer some questions what was on your table, and feel free to reach out if anything is still on the table.
Thanks also from me. This is very hard topic, a lot of questions still going on, but I think things are starting to be clarified, and there's still a couple of points that needs to be clarified. So thanks.